I am going papaya picking in our backyard. I wanted to tell you guys, we live in Florida, and I found that the easiest thing to grow here, like the easiest thing that you literally just take the seeds, throw them in the ground, and they pop up, is papayas. I'm not sure if this will be true in other states, maybe in the spring and summertime, but in Florida, I live around Central Florida area, and papayas have grown for me all year round. The only time that it doesn't work is in the winter, when we get like a really bad frost at nighttime, when temperatures drop to a certain temperature where like the leaves of the trees actually freeze up. Same thing happens with our banana trees. But other than that, like last winter was a very warm winter and we never got one of those frosts. And that is the reason we even have bananas this year. But nothing froze over last winter. So we have been blessed with so many papayas, more than I can do with. I've been feeding it to the animals. Every time I go a little bit of time without picking them, they get overripe, just like here. Like there has to be 40 papayas just on this tree alone. And it's one of the easiest things that you can grow. I'm pretty sure that they grow in other states, not just Florida, but in the spring and summertime. But here's one that fell down. Probably have to feed that one to the animals. But what I do is you can take papaya from the store. I'm pretty sure that's how I got started with it. I don't even remember. But you take a papaya, a ripe papaya, and you just throw the seeds in the dirt. You can bury them, just throw some dirt on top. I've taken a ripe papaya that was a little too overripe and just thrown it on the dirt, throwing it on the ground and kick some dirt on top of it. The papaya itself will help fertilize everything. I'm pretty sure you can do it without the actual papaya flesh as well. You could just throw the seeds in the ground. I've done that before. And you just leave it alone. We live in a state where it rains all the time, so I don't find it necessary to have to water. But if it's really dry, really hot, then you might want to water it. So that is step one. Just throw your little pile of seeds or throw your overripe fruit into the ground. Cover it with a little bit of dirt. That's not even necessary either. I've seen them grow without having to cover it. But just leave it alone and let everything sprout. I wish I had some little ones to show you guys, but I don't think I have any sprouts right now. If I end up finding some in another garden, I'll show you. But you let them sprout, and then what you do is thin them out. As you can see here in this little area, I have 5 trees. At one point there was a whole bunch of trees because I sprinkled a bunch of seeds and they all popped up. And then I thinned them out to leave the biggest and tallest little papaya sprouts that we had. And as you can see here, these two kind of took over. You can see the thickness of the trunk. And then these kind of stayed behind. But it's good to have multiples because depending on the papaya tree that you have, sometimes you need multiple so that they can pollinate each other, and then sometimes the papaya tree is actually a variety that self-pollinates. I'm not really sure how to tell the difference, so I just always leave a few trees, a few little plants, so that they help each other in the pollination process. But this is what I did. I wish I knew what month I planted these in. It wasn't that long ago, definitely not even a year, probably even less than half a year. And I'm already having like a bunch of fruit, like non-stop. This is the most papayas I've seen on one tree. And we have some pretty decent sized ones. So I'm going to be picking papayas from all my trees. Oop. And when they get really ripe, they start falling off on their own. But look at that. That is like perfect to start eating right now. And then you can pick them, like this one that fell, for example, has a little tint of yellow. You can pick them when they're like that too, because they will finish ripening on the counter. This one that fell is a little too overdone, so I'll show you exactly what I will do. This one doesn't have that many seeds, but you see the seeds in there? Usually it's full of those little black seeds. Just dump some into the ground, cover it with a little bit of dirt, literally just forget about it, and I'll feed the animals this overripe papaya. So that is literally all I do to keep a supply of papayas in my gardens. I have papaya trees growing in each one of my gardens. Here's another one. Started getting a little overripe, but I haven't been out here in a while picking, so that's what I'm trying to do that today before we lose any more. There's a little one back here. But I find that papayas don't need any fertilization. They don't need any type of special soil. We have pretty sandy dirt in Florida and they've grown perfectly. I don't add anything special to them. I don't baby them. I don't treat them any different. It's kind of just of a plant and leave it alone type of thing. Like here, that's another situation where I just threw some seeds and just let it do what it's doing. There's two of them growing there, right side by side. There's one over here. That's the bad thing about growing them in a tropical area like here in Florida. We get a lot of storms and wind, and this happened. This one we had a pretty bad storm and there was a ton of papayas on this tree and it just kind of weighed it down and the whole tree fell. And this tree is actually still alive. If I zoom in close enough, you could see the little sprouts that are coming out of the trunks. But those papayas all fell. We lost most of them because they weren't ripe when they fell. They weren't even close to being ripe, and a lot of them just kind of molded before they got ripe, so that kind of sucked. So I'm gonna leave that one there, and it's gonna do its thing. It's gonna kind of deteriorate and all the seeds are gonna implant themselves into the dirt, and we're gonna get some more trees in that little area just by leaving it alone. I'm not gonna even mess with it. So I know for sure I have some in the other garden I'll take you to. And papayas are good because they don't all ripen at the same time. As you saw in that other tree, we got a bunch of green ones and they kind of ripen little by little. So it's not like other fruits where they all ripen all at the same time and then you have to try to eat them all or preserve them or give them away. They ripen pretty slowly. They take a while to actually start ripening, but when they do start ripening, it's not a all or nothing type of deal. So it's a good tree to have if you want like fruit to eat every now and then. So this one, I have to warn you, some papayas, I don't know if it's the variety, but they get super tall. This one is the tallest one we have, and it's very hard to get the papayas from. Here's a little one that started growing in this garden. So here, this is our storage shed, and look how tall the papaya is. Sometimes what I do is give the tree a little shake, and if they're ripe enough, sometimes they fall. But here they're not ripe enough. So what I do to get the ones that are up high like that is I use this metal pole right here and I try to knock them down. So let's try to do that. While I'm heading to that, I'll show you here. This is another little cluster of papayas that I threw the seeds in here and just let them sprout, and I thinned them out. I left 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's one back there. And over here is another little cluster. This has 4. I'm actually going to remove this one because it's a little one. You want to always leave the ones with the thickest trunks, because you know those are the healthiest ones that are going to take over. So let's see if we can get these 2 ripe papayas down without damaging them too much. That's the hard part. All right, there's one. If they get too damaged, they don't go to waste. You can make jam out of them, or if you have farm animals like I do, feed them to the pigs, feed them to the chickens. Our sheep love them. Okay, so that one didn't get badly damaged. When they're really ripe like this, that's when you kind of break to the skin. But that is definitely still edible. Put those here. Let me see. There was more. All the way up there. Probably not going to be able to reach that one. Let me see if it'll come down with a little shake though. Right, that one was definitely overripe, and I shook it down and it fell. But look how many seeds are in here, and these are potential new trees. So what I'll do is shake a few here, cover it with a little bit of dirt. And this rooster looks hungry, so I'll give him the papaya to eat. And that's that. We'll get some new trees out of here. And I saw a few in that tree over there, so I gotta pick those. And we'll be all done for our harvest for today. So we're heading towards fall time here in Florida, but we still have summer temperatures. So these are ripening nicely since it's still warm. So let me try to get those up, and I'll show you everything we harvested all together. Alright, so I got these four. These are nice and long. These still have some time before they're fully ripe. This one is fully ripe. Another thing you can do, I can't really do it by myself because this ladder is super heavy, but when my husband's home, he puts the ladder right next to the papaya tree and climbs up there and gets them. Safer way of getting them than trying to knock them with a pole. And it reduces the damage. Like this one got a little bit busted, but that ladder's too heavy for me to carry. So let me get our basket and put all of them in. So again, you could do this with a store-bought papaya, and then as your store-bought papaya turns into its own tree, produces its own fruit, you can actually call it organic papaya because you're not spraying with anything. I don't use any sprays. There's not really any bugs that eat papaya trees in my experience. Let me get these over here. I haven't noticed like any pests or anything. I haven't even noticed like wild animals. Sometimes I do find the papayas on the ground, which maybe like a rat or something dropped it. But that's about it. They don't really bother them too much, probably because they're so high up. But get yourself started with a store-bought papaya. I think that'll be the best bet, unless you know somebody locally that has papayas. You want to start with the really ripe ones, almost too overripe to eat. When it starts getting mushy, that's the best time to plant the seeds. I usually leave a little bit of the papaya flesh because I feel like it helps as a fertilizer. A lot of the seeds are going to sprout because the seeds are very, if the papaya is ripe, the seeds are very prolific. So you want to thin them out to the best and tallest looking papaya trees, and you might have to do it a few times. Thin them out a couple times. Thin them out to like 4, 3, maybe 2 if you don't have too much space. But that is what I do, and I've had papayas all year round so far here in Florida. I think it might be more of a summer and spring thing in other states. But I just wanted to give you those tips on growing papayas. It's one of the easiest things that I've grown. I'm going to cut one of these in half. It's one of those things that you don't have to baby at all. Very similar to pineapples, where you just plant it and just leave it alone. Oh look, this one didn't have any seeds. Seedless papaya. So these are super sweet. They're perfect for eating right now. No pesticides, no spray, so you know everything that you're ingesting. Great for making jam. Great for just eating for our digestion. Papaya is really good for heartburn. And some people say you can eat the seeds as well, and it helps with digestion. I usually don't eat the seeds just because I always try to replant the seeds. And you can also do what I'm doing here, separate a few seeds to dry them out. You can do that, but like I said, the easiest way to really get started is sprinkle some seeds in a little area in your garden and thin them out, and don't worry about it too much because they need to get established on their own without too much babying. I feel like that's where other people go wrong with the papayas. They try to baby it too much, and transplanting is usually not good for papayas. They're very sensitive, so it's best if you just put them straight into the ground, leave them alone, don't move them around, and just thin them out. And that is it. Those are my tips for growing papayas. I wish you guys success in growing your own papayas. I think I'm gonna cut another one of these to snack on. And yeah, get started with a store-bought, very ripe papaya. These little ones seem to not have any seeds, but I know these big ones have plenty of seeds. So I'm gonna see what I can figure out to do with these. I think I'm gonna dehydrate some. You can freeze them for smoothies. You can eat them just fresh like this. You can make jam with them. Some people even make green papaya salad. I haven't tried that yet, but there's many things you can do with papaya. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and stay tuned for the next one. Have a great week.